A Florida substitute teacher was fired after twerking in the classroom and calling herself a $1 million prostitute. A Florida woman escapes death after the wheelchair she bought at a thrift store explodes. A Florida man is arrested after trying to trade an alligator for tacos. And a Florida woman drove her lifted truck over a Lamborghini and didn't even notice. These are the weird stories for Friday on Weird AF News. They're all from Florida, our favorite place. And by the way, one of these stories is not real. Can you pick out the one that's fake? I think it's pretty obvious. Let's have some fun, though. It's Florida Friday on Weird AF News. A Florida substitute teacher has been fired after twerking in class and calling herself a $1 million prostitute. Oh, so you mean your typical Florida substitute teacher? Now, before we judge, is she going through a divorce? What's up with her? Maybe the good Lord told her to do this. Maybe she was moved by the Holy Spirit of twerking in the middle of class. Let's find out. A substitute teacher in Lake County, Florida, had to be restrained and escorted out of a Lake Minneola High School classroom after acting erratic during class. Oh, acting erratic? I would say that's a bit of an understatement. She's twerking and calling herself a $1 million prostitute, according to the title of this story. The school resource officer received an alert at 10 a.m. That's a good time to twerk. It's a good time to cosplay as a substitute teacher / prostitute. They arrived at the classroom and they found the substitute teacher, Angela Faith Jordan, yelling, quote, incoherently, saying that they should, quote, put her in prison for life. Oh, it sounds like she's having a real mental breakdown. This is actually sadder than I thought. And, I got to tell you, if I had to be a substitute teacher for any amount of time in Florida public schools, I might have a breakdown as well. I mean, I've only been covering Florida Friday stories for a few years on a podcast, and I've almost had a breakdown over it. Now, it says the Florida substitute teacher was reportedly not following the lesson plan for the day at all. No way. You mean twerking isn't part of the lesson plan? She's not teaching the kids some twerk ethic. That's not on the docket. Guys, if you're going to twerk, don't half-ass it. And if you're really good at twerking, down here in Florida, you can make extra cash on the weekends or open an Only Twerks account. Now, according to the report, this Florida substitute teacher wasn't following the lesson plan at all. Instead, she was slamming her hands on a desk and making inappropriate comments to the students. But wait, that's not all. There was more fun to be had because, according to the deputies, she was also twerking in the classroom and referring to herself as a, quote, $1 million prostitute. Wait, was she actually referring to herself as a $1 million prostitute, or was that just the lyrics to the song she was twerking to? I mean, I can see a song called $1 Million Prostitute, right? And it probably has a nice twerking beat to it. All right, let's keep reading and find out if she's single. Now, according to investigators, she also told the students she would have sex with them. And if this wasn't already enough of a disruption to the normal morning routine at this high school, the substitute, who won't be up for any Teacher of the Year awards anytime soon, refused to leave the classroom on her own cognizance. In fact, the assistant principal entered and instructed Miss Jordan, the Florida twerker, to gather her belongings and please leave the classroom, but she refused, stating that she did not want to be tased. She didn't want to be tased. Was the assistant principal holding a taser? Honey, you're backwards. If you don't leave on your own, that's when you get tased. So you might want to twerk your way out the back exit or something. It says the Florida teacher was restrained and escorted to the office while investigators heard a claim by one of the students that she had battered her. The student says she was yelled at, called a derogatory name, and had the teacher's hands placed on her neck. Wow, public schools in Florida, they're kind of like real life. They're like metaphors. Kids, this is what the real world might do to you. But the real world will choke you. Now, it says here, Jordan, the Florida woman, was arrested and fired by the Lake County schools. She faces misdemeanor charges of disorderly conduct, simple battery, and 2 counts of disruption of a school function. Wow, look at that. The school's actually going to step up and fire this person, immediately without a trial. It's I thought they would have just transferred her over to, being the school nurse or something. Well, on the bright side, at least she wasn't reading one of those naughty, salacious books that are on the Florida banned book list, like that really naughty, nasty book, Diary of Anne Frank. A Florida woman dodges death after the wheelchair she purchased at a thrift store burst into flames. Well, that seems like a metaphor for the state of Florida as a whole. I mean, at first it looks nice. Oh, these beaches are lovely. Look at these palm trees. And those lovely iguanas look very friendly. And then that's followed by, oh no, we're in danger. Clearly, all of us, we need to get out of here immediately. We have here a Florida woman. She narrowly avoided a violent, burning death after buying a secondhand wheelchair at a thrift store that exploded in a huge fireball outside of her home. I assume it's an electric wheelchair, and it makes you wonder, why would anyone trust an electric wheelchair purchased at a Goodwill? Some people are risk takers, man. They don't let anything hold them back. They're like, you know what, I'm going to trust this underwear I bought at a Salvation Army. Let's see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? I get HPV? This lady bought a electric wheelchair from a thrift store. I mean, can you imagine? I'm not sure I would trust crutches from a thrift store, All right, her name is Alexandra Anaya. She's from Hollywood, Florida. She heard a clicking sound coming from the electric mobility device that she had purchased at a thrift store. Fearing that something was amiss about the wheelchair that she purchased for a relative of hers, she pushed it out of her house and into her driveway. While in the driveway, the electric chair began to whistle before erupting into a huge fireball. An enormous white stream of sparks was the first sign of trouble. The entire wheelchair eventually was consumed by a blinding white fireball that eventually destroyed it. That's what it says. It was consumed by a blinding white fireball. Sadly, Anaya was unable to put out this fire in her driveway because the fire extinguisher she also got at the thrift store. I'm kidding, that's made up. Now, it says shortly before the wheelchair burst into flames, the woman had been charging it with a non-manufactured charger, which can overload or overheat a battery, according to the local fire rescue and beach safety. Anaya told the media that after hearing the clicking sounds, she put her hand on the wheelchair's battery and it was very hot. Yeah, you might want to unplug it at that point and push it further away from your house, but I don't know. I'm not an expert. You might not want to buy electric wheelchairs from thrift stores in general. I mean, maybe pick up a cane for Granny, whoever you're buying this for. Just keep it simple. Crutches might do you. Things you probably shouldn't buy at a thrift store: underwear, bathing suits, condoms, used mouth retainers or night guards. I mean, there's a whole laundry list of things that you shouldn't buy at a thrift store. I'm going to say electric wheelchair is probably one of those. That footwear is a little sus, wouldn't you say? I'm not sure I'm buying the footwear. And if you buy like a turkey fryer and it blows up your garage, I mean, don't you kind of deserve that? You got it at a Salvation Army after all. Now, according to the Hollywood Fire Rescue, they say Anaya was very lucky. She saved her house and her family from a catastrophe by choosing not to ignore the suspicious clicking sounds that had started coming from the wheelchair. They also said that the homeowner's experience serves as a very valuable reminder that when it comes to lithium batteries, small warning signs really matter. And there's some tips about how to prevent lithium-ion batteries from becoming unstable and murdering your family. So this is helpful stuff. When interviewed about the overall experience, Anaya said, quote, "Dang it, I was going to use that chair to rob a bank this weekend." A Florida man is arrested after trying to trade a live alligator for tacos at a restaurant. The story is out of Ocala, Florida. Authorities were called from a local Taco Bell late Tuesday after a local resident identified as 42-year-old Floridaman Barry Swamp Rat Jenkins attempted to bypass the traditional U.S. monetary system and use a 7-foot alligator in what he termed a fair business deal with the Taco Bell. Witnesses say Jenkins, the Florida man, pulled his 1994 Ford Ranger, which was missing a windshield and held together mostly by coexist stickers and dried mud, up to the drive-thru speaker box at a Taco Bell, and he demanded to speak immediately with, quote, whoever is currently in charge of taco negotiations. According to the police report, Jenkins, the Florida man, grew very frustrated with the digital menu board initially. He kept demanding to speak with a person and a manager about bartering his apex predator for some crunchy tacos. He also added that soft tacos were for flabby-armed Yankees, whatever that means. Now, eventually, a confused teenage employee over the intercom asked if the Florida man wanted mild or hot sauce. The Florida man replied that he was there to, quote, discuss a high-level equity swap and to get to it. He then pulled his truck up to the window, and with his alligator draped over his arm in a way of presentation, the gator was reportedly wearing a small festive sombrero held on by duct tape and appeared largely indifferent throughout the negotiations. A drive-thru employee named Scott was working the window at the time and told investigators, quote, this guy said the alligator's name was Gary and that Gary was basically a biological armored car worth at least 75 street tacos. I told him, we only accept cash, card, or app points, and that we never accept gators as payment. Iguanas neither, although I like them very much as pets. Now, according to the report following this interaction, Jenkins, the Florida man, reportedly became visibly offended by this refusal, leaning out of his window to shout that Gary was, quote, worth way more than cash and should be considered a, quote, prime security asset for the Taco Bell. He argued that by tethering Gary to the soda fountain, the franchise could effectively scare away thieves, raccoons, and, quote, any bad vibes brought in by people who order plain bean burritos, and prevent customers from just coming in for a cup of water. Now, the situation escalated when it eventually dawned on the Florida man that the Taco Bell deal he was seeking was not going to manifest. In one last negotiation attempt, according to Scott, who was Employee of the Month for June 2025, Jenkins threatened to remove the duct tape from Gary and to, quote, release the beast through the window unless the staff provided him with the following. 1. A lifetime supply of Baja Blast. 2. The secret recipe for the creamy jalapeno sauce. And 3. To bring back the Bell Beefer, which apparently was a menu item discontinued in the 1990s. Seeing that he was getting nowhere with his demands, Jenkins revved his Ford and peeled out of the drive-thru, but before leaving, he stuck his head out the window to hurl one final insult, accusing the entire Taco Bell staff of being, quote, un-American and blatantly anti-Florida. The Florida man Jenkins was taken into custody shortly after at a nearby gas station while he was trying to trade Gary for a pack of menthols and a lottery ticket. Police found several baggies of powder on his person and what appeared to be drug paraphernalia. In addition, he had a microphone and a recording device in his fanny pack. When asked about the drugs, Jenkins said, quote, not mine. When asked about the sound equipment, he claimed, me and Gary just started a podcast called Good Vibes from the Swamp. Jenkins was taken downtown and booked with attempted barter with a protected species. During his processing, he remained defiant, telling arresting officers that he was deeply disappointed in the corporate culture of this fast food giant. He claimed he had always been a loyal customer because he, quote, thought Taco Bell was about creativity and felt that his innovative livestock for tacos model was being suppressed by something called big bean interests. It's important to know that Gary the alligator has been adopted by a Florida man named Cecil Morris to be used as an emotional support animal at Cecil's AA meetings. So, like all Florida man stories, a happy ending after all. A Florida woman drove her monster truck over a Lamborghini and barely even noticed. That's right, the driver of a lifted Chevy Silverado was so oblivious behind the wheel of her 3-ton truck that she missed an entire Lamborghini Huracan. She drove over it, then put it in park to see what was going on. Now, a few of you sent me this story, and it came with video, which I urge you to watch. It's pretty fascinating. She's in a parking lot. She drives what I would consider a little too fast in a parking lot, right up onto the Lamborghini. It's amazing. I don't know if she was on chemicals or what she was thinking. Maybe she was like, well, this looks like a ramp. I'm going to keep reading. From the footage, the Lamborghini appears to be moving slowly through a parking lot, searching for a space. The Silverado truck enters with noticeably more speed than the setting calls for. There's no meaningful correction, no obvious braking in time, and then crunch. The truck climbs the Lamborghini's front end and just keeps going up. Not a bump, not a scrape. A scene out of an actual monster truck show. Yeah, that's a very good description of it. Yeah, it looks like a monster truck show. I don't know what you need a truck like this for. I mean, just driving this giant truck around town like a jackass. I mean, 2/3 of the people that have trucks like this never even take the damn thing off-road, I'll bet you. They just want to look cool going to Costco. Now, it says, based on the video, it does not appear that anyone was hurt, thankfully. Even better, a man who appears to be the Lamborghini's owner posted on Instagram, sharing footage of the aftermath, and seems to be handling the whole thing with rather more grace than you'd expect from someone whose supercar has just been used as a speed bump. Yeah, the Lambo owner is surprisingly very chill about his supercar. It seems like a reasonable fellow, not your typical Florida man. I'll tell you who's not pleased is this lady's insurance company. That you drove over a what? Of all the cars. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, she could have drove through some Florida family's living room and have the cost of damages be cheaper than this supercar here. Now, the article says in Florida, nothing about this lifted truck is even rare these days. Lift kits, oversized tires, sky-high ride heights seem to be everywhere. While the rules around them remain fragmented at best, there's no meaningful requirement to prove that a heavy modified truck still maintains safe visibility or reasonable interaction with smaller vehicles on the road. There probably should be. Nobody is even required to prove that they can operate things this tall and in a safe manner. It says they require CDLs for truly large trucks, but somehow everyday folks can manage trucks like this without a CDL, and frequently do so to the detriment of surrounding living bodies. Call this driver an idiot if you want. This is part of it, no doubt, but it's also a system that allows vehicles to grow beyond the point where average awareness is enough to keep everyone safe. And when that happens, situations like this stop being so shocking. They start to be inevitable. Thankfully, all we lost in this case was a wonderful supercar. That's how the article ends. So be careful out there, guys. I mean, this was another car that she drove over. It could have easily been a couple on a tandem bike. I mean, people driving these cars can't see a damn thing. Then half of them are on their phone, I'd imagine. And this is why lifting your truck high enough to get closer to Jesus should be illegal in the U.S., in my opinion. Hey, my friends, loyal listeners of the Weird AF News Podcast. Thanks for spending some time with me on this Florida Friday episode, and thanks for sending me articles. Many of you sent me the last story, the Lamborghini one, the last couple of days. So I also thought it was fun. Were you able to pick out which one was the fake Florida story? I think it was pretty obvious, the alligator Taco Bell one. I found that story online. It was a fake news headline, and then I just pumped it into the AI machine and was like, write me a hilarious story for this, please, and make it clean for the kids. So lots of fun. Let's give a shout out to Weston. I'd like to give a shout out to Weston Holt, who bought me another coffee. Weston's bought me a coffee before. Weston Holt bought me a coffee and said, I don't got to worry about money because food trafficking, everyone hops in on it. And also, happy birthday. Maybe you can get baked and drink some of the best coffee, which is Stocks with cold foam and creamer. Also, I'm getting into high school, and high school guy bathrooms are weed festivals, so I will outbake you. Anyway, happy birthday. Good luck with your life, man. So look at that. We're learning from a high schooler here. You know, I don't have a lot of high schoolers that listen to Weird AF News, so we're getting a little insight. Shout out to Weston. Apparently, there's a lot of weed in high school bathrooms, so it's nice to know things haven't changed. Although in Florida, you got the twerking in the classroom, and that seems new. I never had teachers that twerked. I would have enjoyed that very much. Okay, if you'd like to buy me a coffee for my birthday, like the amazing and wonderful and supportive, big fan of the show, OG listener of Weird AF News, Weston Holt, go to weirdafnews.com where you can click on Buy Me a Coffee. There's a banner right on the homepage. You can also join the Patreon over there, and that's a great way to get involved and support the show. I post content in there a couple times a week at least. So if you want to join the Patreon. You can also go to patreon.com/weirdafnews. All right, and then lastly, before I go, I'm going to play a Florida-centric theme song that one of my listeners made for me. I've played it before, but I think it's worth repeating on here. It's great. Well done and hilarious. So enjoy that and have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. And good luck with your life, man.
It's Florida Friday. This news is really weird. It's Florida Friday. It's the gator drinking a beer.